Hello, and welcome to another episode of the State of California Screwing Me Over. If you have the unfortunate pleasure of living here in California and being into cars, you are well aware of smog and emission standards and how strict they really are. So, I bought some headers that were supposed to be carb legal, and even though they were carb legal, I was told that they don't do anything to help and they still were an instant fail. So today we're switching back to the stock headers because I don't know what else to do at this point. These are the Cobalt headers that I got from Miata. They do have a carb plaque on them, just not on this model because it was an early one and still failed. So we've got the handy dandy stock one right there. We're going to throw it back in. I picked up this new under the hood light as well, so hopefully we'll be able to see everything that's going on here and get a good sense. We'll have some under the car shots that will be a little darker, but it'll be alright. And then also picked up some new jack stands, because why not? One of the downsides of having a small car, I have to lift the front up because of the lip, just a little bit. Otherwise, if I bank it too far up, I won't be able to get under the back. Lift the back up a little bit, and then finally even out the front. So, whew, I'm already winded, but still got a lot more work to do, so let's get to it. Biggest pain in the butt with these guys is this one right there, the EGR valve. There's an O2 sensor right there, and I will have to disconnect the motor mounts to get this up at an angle so that way I can slide this out. Also need to disconnect it from the cat down below. So a lot more work to be done. I'm gonna get the easy to reach stuff first. Got the 15mm golden ratchet. You know what it is. So get all those bolts off from the header. I'll show you the nuts off from the header. And then try and get that EGR valve. The most difficult one probably was this guy here, and then this one that you can hardly see, but it's right there because the EGR pipe runs just straight across, so it was hard to actually even get a socket in there. I ended up using a wobble socket, and that worked quite well. And then this one I just had to use box end wrench. And then because it's so close to the pipe itself, once it got close, I had to pull it out away from the engine itself in order to even get the nut off.
That's what she said.
Nice. So, gonna get the EGR tube now, O2 bung, and then remove it from the cat and see what we can do. So as much as I don't like to, I'm gonna have to use standard on the EGR bung there. The largest metric I have is a 19, and it's just not cutting it. But these anti-slip wrenches are pretty nice, so we'll see how easily it comes out. So as it turns out, not very easy. May need to put some like anti-seize or something on that, but just because of the curvature of the pipe, trying to get a wrench on there is damn near impossible. So you're having to come in at this angle and sort of like twist that way. It's really funky, but got it out. And now we'll just disconnect it from the cat, put the engine
supports off so we can tilt it up, and then it should just slide right out. We'll see. Okay, and I got the O2 bung out as well. Only thing with that one is you kind of have to like preload it when you're putting it in, so twist it the opposite way so that way it's sort of, the wires don't get tangled. So kind of a pain in the butt to get out, but thankfully it was the same size as this one.
Okay, so these are the two bolts that connect the cat to the headers. So go ahead and take those off, and then we can slip the whole thing out. Wouldn't it be nice if they just used the same side socket for everything? 15s on the top for the header, and then, oh, it connects down to the cat, so make those 15 as well. Nope, it was a 14, so be aware of that. And then EGR, I think I used a 7/8, so a lot of different sizes, but it's all disconnected now. So actually EGR and O2 sensor were 7/8, but it's all disconnected now. So I'm gonna remove the engine mount, jack it up on one side so I have some clearance, and then just yank the whole thing out. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so engine support is gonna be right by the cross member. This one also happens to be another 15, which is just dandy. So I'm just going to loosen it a little bit here. I don't want it to actually come all the way off, but I do want it to have some play and be able to move a little bit here. All right, still got a little bit further. Ah, that bolt is rusted. Because if it comes completely undone, trying to get it back on, it's kind of a pain in the butt. But now I should be able to lift it from the oil pan and it'll tilt up on the driver's side. Usually I like to put a little piece of wood there to try and disperse some of it, but I don't have something small enough right now. So it is up. You can tell right here it's kind of just at this angle. So it should allow me to slip those out now. Put it on time lapse and see. Respectfully, that. I feel like we gotta turn it on now. Just hear what she sounds like. State of California didn't like my headers, so no headers. I've had these off for probably about a year now, and they're looking pretty crusty. So might try and clean them up here before putting them back on. Maybe even just spray some cleaner in there, because yikes. Alright, the hard part is done. All of the bolts are aligned. Now I'm just going to get EGR back together, drop the engine back into the support, tighten all these back up, put the O2 bung back in, and then reattach it to the cat. When we're tightening these, we want to be going in sort of a butterfly pattern. So if you start, probably start here on this one right in the center, and then not tightening it all the way though, moving opposite ends until we tighten all the way down, so that way there's a flush fitting between everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop the engine back down to its regular position, reattach the mount, and we'll go from there. But boy, does that look so much shittier. Oh wow, I forgot. I forgot there's a shroud that goes on top of this. I don't even know if I have it anymore. Okay, well, I may just run it as is for the time being. it's not like it's going to be any different. I doubt those are going to get any hotter than the other ones. So, oh well. We'll be putting in a new cooling radiator here shortly, so then that should help a lot. So I got almost all the bolts back on, EGR's back connected. I find using the wobble socket for these is very good. So I got the 15 deep well and regular. Gonna go ahead and do that now. And then the last thing we got left is the O2 sensor, and we are done. Okay, so last thing we have to do is attach the O2 sensor. And like I said, I usually like to, since it's going to go in this way and we'll be turning that way, preload it kind of the other way. So that way it's close to what it's actually supposed to look like once it's in there. And that's it as far as a header swap goes. So only thing left to do now is fire it up, make sure we don't get any check engine lights from the EGR being touched, that sort of thing. But we should be all good here. Okay, we're gonna fire her up. I think we're neutral. Yeah, seems to be doing just fine. A little high on the RPMs, but it was a cold start, so far so good. No check engine light. I think we're doing all right. Some of the carb cleaner and WD-40 burning off there, but other than that, no issues. Take what we can get. And now we just pray that it passes smog. In all reality, I try to do everything above board, and I bought some secondhand headers that I thought were carb legal, but it may be the wrong model or whatever. So, oh well, $300, but I'm sure I can recoup some of the money if I try and sell other headers. A loud exhaust is enough to get you pulled over in California, so anything that I can do to try and minimize my chances to get, the car taken or towed or whatever is what I'm gonna do. So it is what it is. Honestly, it wasn't that bad of a swap. I think maybe 2 hours. So this is the fourth time I've done this job, because originally I had the stock headers on. I bought some Raceland headers, and those were garbage. They didn't fit well at all, and I had to do an EGR pipe, like flexible pipe. I had to use the gas lines from the back of some stoves in order to make that one work without getting a check engine light. So that sucked. And then I swapped to those Cobalt headers, and those worked well for the time period that I had them. And now finally swapping back. So, having done the job 4 times, I know a little bit of the tips and tricks as far as how to get it done quickly and semi painlessly. Still sucks having to take them on and off, but once every 2 years, in the case that you just want to do it for smog, is not that bad. Well, that's going to do it for me as far as the header swap goes. We appreciate you guys watching as always, and stay tuned for more content. Bye bye.